Testing. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of All Bass Creations, effects, tutorials, demos, and review. So today we're going to be talking about the EHX POG. So let's get this voice together here. Let's get this together. Let's get this going. Bam. So definitely appreciate y'all hanging out with me as usual. So today, we got this beautiful Electromonics POG 3, which, to be honest, is one of the best Octavers you possibly could buy at the moment. It definitely has a lot of very useful features that aren't available on other octave pedals. So, it's up there. It's about 645, 650, something like that. You know what I'm saying? So it's a little up there with the price. But at the same time, I think it adds a great value to your pedal board. So as you can hear there, I was using it as a chorus pedal. This is my bass dry. But with the chorus, nice big chorus. And this is not using a detune knob. This is a chorus I created using the octaves and the expression pedal. Make sure you hit that like button for me too. I definitely appreciate it when you hit that like button. It helps me out a lot. So, but besides that, let's go into some other settings. So let's talk about some of the features for a moment. You got some really nice features on here. Things like, of course, you have all these different octaves, which makes for an amazing experience on the pedal. And the cool thing about the octaves is, you know, you have individual control over them. Let's go to a fresh patch. Matter of fact, let's go to just a regular old open patch there. So if I create something I like, I can just store it there. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 octaves available to you. So, you know, you always have access to all those octaves, as well as if you have it on the expression. I have an expression pedal on the floor. If you have an expression pedal for it, you can have options to do things like that. Where literally all the octaves are warping from a unison pitch POG mode. So, you know, that's just something you can do with the expression pedal. Here's some things that you'll need to know right off, you know, as soon as you get it. You would like to know at least. You're going to have not just the octaves, you have the panning of each octave. This input gain acts as a real gain, you know what I'm saying? So the more you push it, some overdrive and distortion. So you got built-in overdrive, distortion type effect here. You also have a full feature filter, which you can choose to run the dry signal through or not. You know, and so when it's in, you got an envelope for the filter and a Q. Q is the resonance. The envelope is going to determine which way it sweeps. Now, you also have additional filter features. If you hold this dry button here from the live screen, from the home screen area, it'll bring you right to the filter options, low pass, band pass, high pass filters mode. Then you got the attack and the decay time. If you want the filter to only operate like a triangle type wave, you want to set the attack to 0 and say you had it all the way to the right, the envelope all the way to the right. Let's just put some dry signal in there. Let's create a nice little filter real quick. I already have one, but just for these purposes. So essentially, when you're using the envelope mode like this, when you're going to the right, this kind of acts as the top of the filter. So if I bring this down, Determines how much it, pretty much how much the filter opens. Like I said, I can also change those times on it. So if I wanted to sweep, open up slower, increase the attack. Then you got like a triangle wave. Opens and closes. And when you have this envelope to the right, this filter slider here acts as the bottom, the depth of the filter, how deep, the depth of the filter, how deep the filter sweeps down from, and where it starts and closes. So, but if you bring that attack time down, now you just got a ramp down, right? So now it's just only sweeping down, doesn't open. I mean, well, it immediately starts from the top of the filter and sweeps down. You can change that decay time to make that a little faster. You can make it really long. Where it really sweeps. Or you can bring it back. And so you can, and you also have a trigger sensitivity there for the filter. So along with the attack, so basically you got the filter mode, which is like the topology of the filter, which is like low pass, band pass, high pass. So giving you 3 different filter modes. You get the attack time, the decay time, and the trigger sensitivity. Then from the actual pedal surface, you get the resonance. Basically, the filter, the top or the bottom of the filter is either controlled here, depending on if you have it to the left or right. But to the right, this becomes the top of the filter and how much it opens up. And this becomes the bottom. And then when you switch it to the other side, it becomes the opposite. This becomes the bottom of the filter, and this becomes the top. And in the middle indent is just this is just the top frequency cutoff. So if you want to say you wanted to use a foot switch, the expression pedal, which you can also get to as a quick button here. You can just hold it, bam, it'll take you to expression mode. We're going to put this on the filter. You can control what the heel frequency is. So with my heel all the way down, this is where it'll be. Then I can set where it opens at the toe position. So you can choose to have that controlled by the foot switch or the actual envelope. You know, say you want to use this expression pedal for something else, freeze gliss or something, right? You can still have it. Now it's an envelope filter. So, you know, this definitely is a whole different thing amongst itself. Like that filter is great. And like I said, if I wanted to respond more, I could just add more sensitivity to it. So it's a lot of little versatile features, even besides just the octaves themselves. You get not just the octaves, but you get that beautiful filter there. So let's take that off. You also get auto swell type thing. Little joke there. I appreciate the jokes. So, yeah, this thing has quite a few features that are really awesome. Like that right there, you could kind of make a cello type sound. So just by changing the attack. So that's another pedal or thing you don't have to really buy. And that's what I really, you know, if you've been watching me for a while, you know that I like pedals that make me not have to buy so many other pedals. That's why I love the Enzo X, Mercury X, Future Impact, even the MXR Bass Synth fall into that kind of category, you know. But I mean, it does a lot of extra stuff, not just the octaves. Octaves are kind of obvious, you know. I will say there's a few things. If you don't have the focus button on, and you have it in like freeze gliss or warp or things like that, these two sliders will not be triggered by the freeze gliss. As well as if you don't have this dry button on and this slider above 10%, then the dry signal won't be triggered by the glissando freeze gliss either. So, you know, that I know that sounds like weird, but it actually makes it so if you want to be able to sustain it, right? You can, but if you don't, and you just want to sustain like the upper octaves, you can. And now it's just doing the upper octaves. I could bring in a fifth. Octave down. Two octaves down. And say I didn't want to freeze the upper two pitches, I can take that focus off, just do the dry pitch. So essentially, something like that was going on. Let me make sure. Let me see what we got here. I definitely appreciate that. And yes, I can play drums. But, you know, we kind of talking about the pedal right now. So, you know, it allows that flexibility where if you want to freeze your dry sound, or like the lower octaves and use the upper octaves when you soloing. Spread those out. Or I could spread out the other. Spread this out, spread that fifth out. Matter of fact, we're gonna hard pan those. We'll bring these back closer to the center, but keep the bass note in the center. That makes it very useful when you shaping sounds. You see how I can shift it from left to right very easily. Move everything back to the center. I can take away voices, add them back in. And open up that filter. So you can get your organ sounds and all that good stuff as well. If you want to get a nice bass sound out of it, you can as well. Of course, everybody wants classic octave down feel. Something like this, you can choose to keep open. Just octave down. Bring up that resonance just to add some. And the sound of the octaves greatly depends on your actual EQ of your bass. Make sure y'all hit that like button right here. It definitely helps me out. And subscribe if you haven't, or you like this kind of content. So it really responds to the EQ of your bass. So if I pull the bass, if I cut the bass frequencies on my actual bass, it comes out of there. But if I boost them, or just bring them back to the middle. If I boost it, same thing with the mid range. You know, I can boost that mid range. Bring it out. So it gives you a lot of options in terms of the actual way you can shape the sound just with the filter cut off and the resonance. You know, you don't even need any envelope for something like that per se. Open that joint up to about here. You can even add some grit if you wanted to. Now if I open that filter all the way up, drop that cutoff. So you can easily get that nice octave down as well. See what we got. Definitely appreciate you becoming a member. Definitely means a lot. Definitely appreciate you joining the channel, supporting the channel. Because as I do the deep dive on this for real, like this is more of a demo, just showing you guys the features of it and getting you familiar with the unit. Definitely appreciate that. Bass Inspector K 4008. Definitely appreciate you becoming a member. Means a lot, the support. So, yeah, you know, you just kind of got to know what you're working with this. Like, if you just want that octave down sound, you can have that. You also get 100 presets in here, and it's fully MIDI capable. So, you know, you got a full size 5-pin MIDI in and out ports here. Then you also have mono in. Then you have a direct out expression input, and you also have stereo out. So, and you can control when the channels are on. Like, say I wanted to just isolate the channels for whatever reason, I can just hear the left channel, or I can just hear the right channel, or both. And I can still have my direct signal come out of here with completely unaffected by any effects coming from the POG 3. So, you know, it's got some flexible routing in that sense. You know, it allows you to run mono, stereo, and you can still run stereo with your direct out. So, all right, so some other features, some other type of sounds. Of course, you know, I gotta have a nice octave up for my solos and stuff. Other cool thing you can do with something like this, because you can spread those I can have dry signal go all the way there. Yeah, all the way there. So we got them opposite. So now I can run 2 different amps or 2 different tone models. It's part of the reason I have 2 ToneX here. So this is the left one, this is the right one. And Hello? So, yeah, you can get some really nasty sounds with this joint. Just, I mean, like, the fact that you can pan those and run this in stereo makes a complete difference, like, in terms of being able to do sounds like that. And of course, you know, you like to have some stability in the middle, so I might even do something like push the octave down. Kind of balancing channels out here a little bit. Bam. So, you know, I can choose to do that, or I can choose to just straight up octave down. So I find it better to, you know, most situations kind of leave a little bit of each, rather than being such a hard pan, you know, probably about halfway from the middle to all the way left or right. Usually gets you a nice wide sound like this, where you can still hear everything really well. You know, and still get you some nice effects in there. So with this sound, you can also, you know, you can just sustain stuff with the freeze gliss. You can make it take its time between notes. I can make it do that faster, slower. So that definitely makes a huge difference, you know what I'm saying? You know, so we talking about, you know, if you're just joining us, just chiming in, we're talking about the Electro-Harmonix POG 3, and that's what we're kind of focusing on. You know, if you got any questions about the POG 3, feel free to ask, you know. But, so, this thing, not only can it do all of that with the different octaves and the freeze gliss, you can cross fade between presets as well. You also, let's not forget, you have this D-tune here. You don't have to create the chorus with the octaves. You can literally just use the D-tune knob here. Add more to it. You can spread that. And spread just adds a pretty much like a very short delay time to it, and so it keeps the right channel, the left channel is maximum 50 milliseconds. The right channel is maximum 150 when this milliseconds when this knob is turned all the way to the right. So that's why you'll hear that. You hear that delay. You hear the middle, and then you hear the other two. I can change how much that's doing it. Or none at all. So that's another effect that's available. So you know you got the octaves, the freeze gliss. You got the. I'm just gonna. Of course, I expect a expensive octaver to be able to warp, or do like whammy style pitch bend. So, but you know we'll throw that in there as a style of effect. You can crossfade between presets as well, and you also can control the filter with the expression pedal. So that gives you lots and lots of options. You know, you got envelope here where you can determine how big of a sweep you want, as well as, you know, your resonance. Then you also have within there the ability to change that type of filter. You got an attack knob here. I mean, you know, fade in pretty much. And, you know, you got the input gain, which gives you like a distortion overdrive type thing when you push it. You can actually keep it on 0. And then just push your gain when you need it. You know, you push your gain, you want to bring your master down. So you got more octaves than any other octave pedal. Not only that, these aren't locked in at these values either. So this doesn't have to be an octave up. This can be a fifth. This can be, you know, and when you do it a certain way, you can definitely, like, this can be an octave up in a fifth if you wanted it to be. It's a lot of stuff you can do with this pedal, as well as you can just drop tune because you have the whammy style pitch bending. So, you know, you got amazing filter, amazing, like a very limited, well, it's just attack. You know, doesn't have a decay like the Hawk 2 does. Unfortunately, I would have loved to have a decay parameter in here, but can't get everything. And you got a amazing detune. Now, I will, you know, over time, if they keep doing firmware updates, mine is running on firmware 82. And those of you who've been following the channel know I had this for 2 days, and then it froze on me. I had to send it back to Electro Harmonics, and that was firmware 72. So, you know, hopefully they'll be releasing firmware 82 soon, you know what I'm saying, to the public. But that's what mine's running on. And it's been very stable since then. I've been running it the last few days. Hopefully it keeps holding up. But, yeah, that's just a disclaimer. So you can't say nobody told you or nobody said nothing about it. So, you know, check that out. And the other, you know, you got a few different screens here, too. You got your live screen. Then you got your data screen, which gives you, like, the exact numbers of everything that you're using. You know, which helps for when you want to replicate stuff, you can actually see the exact values of where you had the sliders, versus on the Hawk 2, you really never, once you saved it, you never really could duplicate that setting again because you never knew what the exact value of it was. And, you know, because having the slider here, like, it's having a slider there and just moving it that much can be the difference between two different, you know, sounds, a sound really working and a sound not. So, you know, it makes a difference having this information available, as well as you have the graphic screen where you can see physically where the sliders positions are. You know, it takes all the guessing out of it. And then, you know, you got the main menu. That's where you do your preset saves. If you want to save quickly, let me go to a different slot. You want to save something quickly, up, right, preset save. And what that is it takes you to the menu, up takes you to the menu, right takes you to the presets options menu. Then the first one on the menu is save, so you just hit it right again. So up, right, saves quicker on there, you know what I'm saying, from the home screen. And I always recommend, saving your patches as you're going along. Say you're working on things, a patch, brand new patch. Save it as you go along. Don't wait until you finish the whole patch, because sometimes you will forget to save that way, and then you being switched to another preset or something, and then you done lost all the work you did with that current preset. So save as you're going along when you're creating presets on any device, especially things that are more complicated. Not even complicated, more intricate, you know what I'm saying? And that have a lot of parameters like the POG 3, the Enzo X, the Mercury X. You definitely want to save as you're going along. Just like you would if you were typing an essay. You wouldn't wait till now we got auto save on there, but before, if you're around my age, you had to save that joint when you used to be typing, and you lose your whole essay messing around. So listen to that. You take something like this, and you take that with the Mercury X. Yeah, let's do this. Yeah, that filter triggered twice. I don't want it to do that, so I'll bring the trigger sensitivity down on the filter. Like when I touch the string, I don't want it to do that. Here I'm using the Mercury X and the POG 3's freeze functions separately. So I might freeze the Mercury X there and then freeze the POG. Then freeze the POG again. And get that big massive sound there. And when you have something like the Mercury X or the Enzo X, it gives you additional octaves that you can have, because the pitch shifting is so good on those units. I can as well, the poly shifting has a bit of latency to it, but it never misses. So, it's more latency than the POG, but these are not just octave pedals. The POG, for the price of it to be an octave pedal primarily, it should outperform these two pedals in that aspect. Now, I say the filters on the Enzo X and the Mercury X and the LVX, they all have around the same amount of filters, but the Enzo X has the ladder, state variable, and twin filters in there. I like those filters more in terms of just my dry bass sounds. Now, synth bass sounds, I just like that filters more. I'm not gonna lie. This filter is really good though. It's gonna be useful to me for different things other than what those are used for. Those sound amazing though. Those are actually some of my favorite filters right now, and they actually took all the filters off of my pedal board. So, they took about 4 or 5 filter pedals out of there. So in this particular unit, I would say, when it's one thing by itself, but when you start combining it with other pedals like a Mercury X, you know what I'm saying, you really, or Enzo X, because the Enzo X has some really good, my favorite reverb algorithm from the Mercury X. It is the prism. It has a small prism, medium prism, large prism, and it also has a full stereo delay in there. So, pairing all that with the POG 3, definitely enhances it, So I wouldn't say this is a one-stop shop or nothing like that in terms of, you're still going to want some things to color those sounds, maybe modulations. You want some dirt. You might not like this overdrive too much. It sounds pretty digital, but when you're doing these synth sounds, it really works. So you really could get to some nice little synthy type sounds with it as well. So that's always a bonus feature. It's not just I guess one of the things I like that they kind of merged the POG and the POG 2 and the Hog 3. The Hog 2. The POG 2 and the Hog 2, they kind of merged together with some of the features. I'm trying to think. So a couple of the features that I missed from the Hog 2, if you look down here, you can kind of see the Hog 2 down here on the floor. But one thing I miss is they took out the MIDI, the CC message, which is for MIDI. They took out the CC message for the freeze gliss. So I could always have my freeze gliss available even when I'm using the filter. Say I wanted to use the filter, assign that to the expression pedal. On the Hog 2, I can assign something, one of my foot switches for the Graviton M1 or the MIDI Captain to the freeze gliss. They kind of took that off. So that's not in there anymore. I really wish they had that feature. Again, do kind of miss the decay, but I understand why they didn't put it on there. They actually have a pedal that has attack and decay. They still want you to buy their other pedals too. But they do give you attack, so, you can get those nice cello sounds, But I would say, man, overall, with the tracking and the ability to create these sounds and pan and the uniqueness and the flexibility of the unit isn't really matched by any other octave unit I've seen or played. And I feel like a lot of times when you're hearing like these reviews of it, you're just hearing it by itself. You got to hear it with something. For real, you know what I'm saying? Like, let me see. Let's do a phaser. All right, take that. And of course, you can shape that. Ooh, that ain't getting funky on you, ain't it? I might have to say that one. Let me go and say that. Bow, bow, bow. Say. Add some bottom. All right, so bring that bottom in. Something I would like to do is I like that step bend, the step bend function on the Hog 2. So I'm going to use the warp expression, go to expression, change it to warp. And just so you know, an easy way to remember, because it's numerical values on here, 1 through 20. So like every 10 is a half step. So if you go from 0 is unison. This is just so you understand how the pitch bend works with it. So the heel I have set to 0. That's unison, what you're hearing now, the actual pitches. But if I want to shift it up for the toe pitch, if I go up 10, it'll go up a half step. So from there, I could go up 2. You know, if I go to 20, that's a whole step. Now, one thing I don't like that happens is it shifts. So it does this. I don't know why they did this. This is kind of weird. Say I'm using all the octaves, or like say I'm using the dry signal. I'm using the octave down, the octave up, and 2 octaves up. Now, the octaves from an octave down and 2 octaves down, it drops in pitch, while from the 5th, the octave up, and the 2 octaves up, the shifts goes up. So essentially, you got one pitch going up and one pitch going down, which you're kind of hearing here. Which ain't really super duper useful. Like, I would rather just shift them all the same way. I don't really, but in order for them to have the warp feature and have it do different pitches and stuff, I guess they had to have it that way. But they need to add a function where it allows you to have all the octaves shift the same exact way. Not one going down, one going up. I want the octave down, the octave up, and 2 octave up. If I want them to shift up an octave, I want to be able to shift those up an octave and then shift those back down an octave like I could on the Hog too. So, you know, that's something else to pay attention to. You know, like who wants that? You can, you know, sometimes it does make it what you may like that type of sound, but nobody's really trying to make that type of sound. So it's a little irritating in that respect, but let's see if we shift it all the way. Let's do a fifth, see how it interacts. I really want them all to shift, but you can stop anywhere along the way as well. Shift that to, let's go all the way up to an octave. So, I'm trying to think how I could do this. Maybe I could set up the presets. That wouldn't work either because the presets are tuned to it too. But, I mean, that does sound, you know what I'm saying? That'll get you funkin' right there. That'll get you some funk. So, like I said, you got to just play around with something like this. You want to put the envelope to the center, turn the resonance off, open the filter completely up, turn off the attack and the detune. You know what I'm saying? Kind of get your basic octave sounds going that way. And that way you don't have so many things affecting your sound. One of the biggest things I always stress to folks when they approaching something like this, or the Enzo X, Mercury X, Future Impact, even the bass MXR bass synth or C4 synth, any of these more intricate pedals. They're not complicated. They're just intricate. They give you a lot of options and parameters. You got to take some of those parameters out of the mix first so you can, dial it back to the raw thing that you're manipulating. So for the instance, with the Future Impact, I'll just start with just the oscillators. I'll turn off all the filters, everything. I start with just the oscillators. It gives you 4 oscillators at a time. You know what I'm saying? And then each of those oscillators has 3 different waveforms that you can combine to create custom waveforms on each oscillator. So that's a lot of options right there. And if you don't even know what the oscillators sound like or understand what you're doing when you're creating the custom ones, or you got to be able to hear it. If you got all the filter, distortion, chorus, and phaser and all that on there, you won't be able to really hear what you're trying to manipulate. You know what I'm saying? Like, that starting point makes a difference. Then from there, start manipulating the filter. Say you don't want it to be so bright. You bring that filter cutoff down. Same thing here. If I didn't want this to be so bright, let me make sure that's saved like that. Don't be setting me up. very nice. You can get some great sounds with this, even with the. You can also play this with a MIDI keyboard. What's going on, folks? Appreciate you coming through. Yeah, that happens, bro. Like, so with, then I actually did quite a few videos on the MXR bass synth that might help you out. But first thing you got to do as soon as you get the MXR bass synth, just a quick tip, usual suspects popping in here. It's like you got to take the filter out of the equation. So you got to open the cutoff all the way up. And then you also need to access the secondary function by holding, I believe it's the voice. And that way you can also, just like this has this envelope filter knob here, if you hold this voice and turn cutoff to the center, it'll take that envelope out of the equation. Bring the resonance down, turn off the sub octave, turn the mix all the way to the oscillator, and then also turn the mod all the way off, and come to the single voice, hold the voice, and turn the mod knob, and that'll turn the LFO to adjust the mod, but the mod is off. So now you pretty much got just the oscillator sound that you're working with. Same thing here. Like I said, you want to open that filter, bring this envelope to the center, turn the resonance all the way down. You can start with just your dry signal there, input gain all the way down, everything center here, bam, 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 attack off, detune off, and start with maybe the dry signal running through the filter. So first rule, you want to kind of see what that does to your dry signal. That way you can kind of, I would even say maybe even start with before you even start adding in octaves, kind of familiarize yourself with the different, I guess I would call it, different, of course, the different effects, but different colors you can add to it with the filter. So just start bam in the middle. Really see with that how you can manipulate your bass sound. See how that filter cutoff really affects it. See, you start experimenting like this, and you get to cool sounds like this. Now I got an 808 kick. Not only that, I can tune it. And you can add that, layer that with just like your regular bass sound. But turn that joint to an 808. I'm using my fret wrap as like a dampening thing. Further you move it up, the shorter it gets. Further you move it back. Yeah. All right, now you get that little. You probably can't hear that through just your cell phone, but yeah. Yeah, and the POG 3 can do a lot, man. It can do a lot and all that, but you get 100 slots, and, you know, it's fully MIDI programmable, except for that feature I told you about, the freeze list. They need to add that back when they get a chance. I would greatly appreciate that. Electric harmonics, please. But yeah, so you can do stuff like that. You can add that spread to it. Now you got a big, wide 808 sound. And, you know, you can add that octave up if you want a little bit more clarity there. It's not going to do a whole lot with the filter all the way down, but that's with the filter pretty much closed and a lot of resonance. Ah, nasty. And that's the sound. This is the sound without it. This is all I'm doing. And you got that joint down here though with that resonance. So it's another way you can add to your track subtle things like another layer to your kick drum and just kind of make your kick drum follow your bass line a little bit. You know, if you're doing looping like I do looping and stuff. So, or if you're creating a track, you can now create your own custom 808 type of sound, kick drum sound using the filter and the filter cutoff and the resonance. That's just using the dry sound. So that's why I said just exploring like that, you'll find stuff. You know, all right, what we got? Future Impact. So I wouldn't recommend, if you're having trouble with the MXR bass synth, I wouldn't recommend. I would say I would recommend the Future Impact before VIP, but you're gonna need to grab my preset pack because if you're having trouble doing this, the MXR bass synth, Future Impact gets is way more options. Like this is really only 3 oscillators. You know, you got the sub oscillator, the unison pitch oscillator, and the upper oscillator. And then you got your dry sound. And then everything else in this pedal is pretty much manipulating that. The filter, most of these knobs here are the filter. You know what I'm saying? So, and then the mod, and then you got the LFO, built-in LFO, which gets looked over here. You can assign that. You can mix that with the modulation and the filter, or you can just have it do one or the other, like the LFO just controlling the chorus, modulating, or it just opening and closing the filter automatically versus an envelope filter where it's responding to your dynamics. So also, when you first get the MXR bass synth, turn it on the 4-string tracking. You will also need to adjust the triggering sensitivity. And it's one more thing. Let me see. Let me pull up. I gotta see the manual before I can tell you off the top of my head. Yeah, so you want to change that tracking and that trigger sensitivity. Where is the trigger sensitivity at? Either way, you get what I'm saying. So, the gate sensitivity, not trigger sensitivity, gate sensitivity. You want to change that as well. And then from there, you just want to cut your bass frequency, boost your high mids, and that'll get you in the ballpark you're looking for with the MXR bass synth. So just because you're a loyal fan, I'll get you a quick one and show you what I was talking about by zeroing out. Like, so this the cutoff here. We don't want any envelope. Yeah, like that's mostly just open. Let me see something here. So this is just a fade in time. I'm coming. I'm almost done, my man. So let me see with that envelope. Shows the attack and decay time of the filter. So the envelope just controls. So this pretty much is your K and your detach time of the filter. How long it takes to open and close. And then so start there. Right, it's just a basic oscillator. Start there. You can start seeing with that sub-octave mix sound, just a sub-octave by itself. Then you can do the upper octave by itself. Versus the regular. So those are pretty much the sounds you're working with. You know, that was the triangle, here's the square. No, that was the sawtooth, this is the square. Sub-octave of the square. Right, and then the upper octave of the square. And finally the other one, what is that, the triangle. So unison, sub-octave, I know this is about the POG, but we got a few more minutes here, so I just wanted to touch this real quick because I get asked this a lot. Plus, they ain't paying me. So, yeah, you get with y'all. I talked about the pedal. I bought this pedal, huh? See, when you buy it, you can say what you want. So that's your upper octave of that. So you pretty much have a mixture of, you get to pretty much choose whether you have a triangle, saw, or square wave with the MXR bass synth. And then you get to mix those octaves together in whichever way you would like. So and you also get a glide function on here as well. All right, so, and you get a noise mix. Say you wanted to mix in some noise. Might not want that much noise, just a little bit. Say I want some of the bottom octave. Matter of fact, it's supposed to be a way I can mix that between the oscillator, Okay, so, and I could control So I can control how much of this upper octave as well. So now I got the half of the original, half the upper octave. Upper octave by itself. And we'll mix that. And then we'll down here, and then you mix in your sub octave. How much you want that? Say you want mostly sub octave. You just bring it up. And then you bring in the other two voices as much as you want. I would say bring that top voice down. Then you can hear that filter cut off. Hear that? Yeah. Now you just start manipulating the sound. Say you want that filter to, you wanted more resonance. So essentially, when we control the filter envelope amount, this is the filter cutoff. It's essentially doing how much it modulates. So from here, we're going to determine how much that filter opens from that point. So we can have the filter come all the way from here if we wanted to. We'll make it decay slowly. Opens and closes. We want it to open all the way. So, now you're starting to really shape the sound and all that good stuff. And you can also come over here, add some modulation. You can also assign that LFO to the filter instead. Now you can add and in this case, you want to turn that filter envelope amount back to the middle. So essentially, this mod is controlling the depth and the speed. I want that filter to move faster. Just add that mod there. So, yeah, hope that helped. That's pretty much all you need to know about that pedal. It ain't too much more to it. You still got the glide function there as well. Sustain pedal. If I have my foot switch set up right, I can just hold that with the foot switch. So yeah, there you go. See what happens with being one of the usual suspects. Get y'all, you know what I'm saying? Let you pull me off topic just a little bit, But yeah, so that's pretty much a walkthrough of everything you would need to know. Change that tracking, and adjust that gate. You know what I'm saying? As soon as you get it. Cut your bass, boost your high mids on your actual bass. get all that filter and stuff as open and get as many things not moving and off as possible, and then go from there. But yeah, so yeah, that's nasty work. I might go ahead and say that there for real, for real. I kind of like that. What was in that patch? Nothing important. Bam. And then press it again. Save it to your presets. You can do so much stuff with this jank, and if you want to make that more of just a usable sound, just take the glide, make the glide very little, just a little glide. Matter of fact, adding a glide, just a touch of the glide, is some secret sauce on that jank. I just noticed that. From there, all you gotta do is make sure you got enough signal to, when you're doing your hammer on and hammer offs. So, and essentially, all these synth pedals, including things like the POG 3, are kind of going to work like that. You want to dial everything back because they have so many things inside of them. You could be there forever trying to hear past all the stuff that the units can do. So in order to avoid that and get straight to the point, get down to with the synth pedals, get straight in the octave pedals, get straight to the synth and the octaves. That's your foundation. And then the next thing you want to experiment with is the filter options, and what that can do. If you want to be able to hear the filter more, you want to experiment with the distortion running into the filter, and the resonance of the filter, and filter cutoff, all that stuff, filter sweep. Then from there, you want to check out modulations, see what you like on that end, and then you will go for the delays and reverbs if you need to add that to your sounds. So, because even things like this on the MXR bass synth, it's this one. Sounds okay by itself, but you put that with a nice. Let me add a little glide to that. Just a smidge of glide. Yeah, the glide is the sauce. Just a smidge of the glide definitely helps it behave more like an actual synth. You know what I'm saying? Like for instance, Future Impact. Let's see, this. Pick any patch. Mind you, I have preset pack for the Future Impact, Enzo X. I just released two brand new version 2 packs of the for the ToneX pedals for the Aguilar AG preamp and the Ampeg SGT preamp on Patreon. So make sure you check that stuff out too. And for the Zoom MS-60B Plus, MS-70 CD, MS-70 CDR Plus, Zoom B6, C4 Synth by Source Audio. All that stuff is on the Patreon. You don't have to spend as much time trying to get to the presets you're hearing. You can just download them, throw them on your pedal, get the rocking. You know what I'm saying? And I got a brand new color box pack coming out along with the color box combination packs. Color box plus different bass preamps together in one tone model. So stay tuned. I'm releasing 2 packs today as well. So. Get some killer sounds with these units, bro. So, you just have to spend some time with things or get preset packs. With the MXR bass synth, you can't really get a preset pack. But, so you just got to spend the time with the unit. That's the other gripe with it. In today's bass synth economy, for me to only get 8 presets and to just get this, with no display, no ability to edit without holding other buttons and memorizing, 2 sets of secondary parameters. So it's really 18 parameters you can control on here, 12 for the actual sound. Then you get another 6 for the global parameters and stuff on the MXR bass synth. But you got to memorize what all that is, so you'll constantly be picking up that manual if you don't. Compared to, Future Impact, it's not all on the pedal. Only thing you controlling on the pedal is like your filter options, which is amazing for live stuff. That's all you really need. You're not building sounds on stage per se. Most of the time we're not building sounds on stage. So it really doesn't matter that you can't build it like with just on the pedal. You can use the software. POG 3, everything's available on the pedal and you got software. So just depends on what you like. You know what I'm saying? Then you also have the Enzo X on the other hand, which is not just a bass synth. You can use it as a bass synth, but you can also use it for just about anything. So you can use it for synth sounds. You can use it for different instruments, all that good stuff. So all that stuff is, take all that stuff into account when you looking at these pedals. They're all different pedals. I wouldn't get a POG 3 expecting it to be a Future Impact or a bass synth replacement, But when it comes to bass sounds and like octave sounds and what I can do with an octave sound, there is no octave better than this. Plus, I always got the option to play it with a keyboard as well. Let's see what we got here. Oh, gotta turn it on. You can always play with a keyboard as well, which is a beautiful option. And you can get like a relatively decent organ sound in here. So you can get some nice organ sounds with it as well. You know, that's and synth sounds because you can take individual octaves and use. What's going on? Appreciate you chiming in from Brazil. Make sure y'all hit that like button for me if you haven't already. Definitely helps me out. But this thing, so, you know, and then you get two different voices. That's the other thing I didn't mention about the POG 3. You get two different voicings for the upper octaves. You get the original POG voicing. Mind you, I don't have to change anything to switch between keyboard and bass. And I can also play it at the same time. So that's pretty incredible too. Or, oh, is it frozen? Yep. Let me take all these other octaves out real quick. Bam, bam. Center, center. Bam, bing, bam, boom. Two different sounds to them. Let's do it like this. Trying to get just to the sound. Or focus. So you get the original POG sound along, and that's the original sound from the Hog 2 as well. Hog 2 is really the thing everything else is kind of stripped down versions of until this. You know, this is the only other octave pedal they have that does more than what the Hog 2 does. But, you know, then you get the... So you either get two kind of different voicings for the upper octaves. So, bam. So you can have different, you know, even the octaves can have different sounds to them based on the focus. These two octaves, at least, based on the focus. So that can change your sound as well. So it's just so many options with one pedal, and you don't need an external pedal to save anymore like the Hog 2. You got your preset buttons here, effect on and off. You know, I was a little worried about this little navigation switch here. It's not all plastic. The top is plastic. It's like a little piece of metal that is holding, you know, pushed onto. But yeah, I was worried. I am slightly worried about this long term, you know, because you have to click it. Like you got to literally push it and turn it. You could turn it as well, and you can push it. So hopefully that holds up over time. You know, that's the biggest thing, longevity. Hopefully the firmware just keeps getting better. It's been stable so far. So version 80, firmware version 82 has been stable for me so far. If it doesn't remain stable, I will also let you guys know. But yeah, this is great. Not to mention you still have the entire EHX port app, which you can download for Windows or Mac, and you know, edit all this stuff in the computer. You don't even have to edit on the pedal, but I prefer to edit on pedals. That's just me. I don't really use software to edit unless I have to for something like the Future Impact, but I prefer to edit on the pedals. So this is plenty of options. They give you a ton of knobs and just things that you can alter things and see it physically, you know, while still giving you enough hidden parameters in the menu option to get everything else you will want out of this done. So I think it's worth checking out. especially if you can catch one on sale or used. You know what I'm saying? Like you can find one for probably about $350, $400. You know, brand new, they're going to run you about $645. So it's worth the investment either way. There's nothing else that's even close right now. So in terms of an Octaver that can do this and you can use it as an organ and synth module, it's crazy. Oh yeah, I'm in here. You know, this my office. This my everyday office. So, you know, it's always changes. This is like this now, but as you can see, there's more pedals on the floor. And if you want to check out some of my previous pedals that I have a whole store on reverb.com. You can check that out on my YouTube profile. It'll be a link in the description to the reverb.com store where I have my used pedals and things like that. And I haven't the ones like the Hog 2, I'm not going to wipe it clean before I sell it unless they want me to wipe it clean. But, so you'll actually have my actual settings and something like that. So check that out on the Reverb store. Make sure you go to the Patreon and grab my preset packs for the various pedals. Or if you just want to support the channel, you can also sign up for the membership starting next week. Not even next week. Starting this week. The first day of January, a lot of little tip videos and things like that I do for pedals and stuff are going to be under the paid membership. So make sure that you guys sign up for the paid membership to keep up with all the content and everything that I'll be doing. So I'll catch you guys next time. Make sure you go check out that Patreon. Like I said, the EHX POG 3 is definitely a serious octave pedal and will definitely keep you interested and inspired for hours. Like I said, just take your time with it and understand how to use it before you just like any other pedal, before you dismiss it, really understand it. If you ain't never looked at the manual, you can't really say the pedal's trash or the pedal don't work or the pedal ain't this or that if you never looked at the manual. You know what I'm saying? So definitely check that out. It's a little quick tip. Check out your manuals. And I will catch you guys next time. This has been another episode of All Bass Creations, Effects, Tutorials, Demos, and Review. I am the Bass Negus, Negus. Find me on all social media platforms, and I'll catch you out another time. Peace.